And a top focus in WION at this hour. A large group of Israeli demonstrators and activists embarked on a march from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem on Wednesday, protesting the proposed judicial overhaul by the far-right government, which they fear poses a threat to the principles of the liberal democracy in the country. The 70-kilometer march is set to reach the Knesset or Parliament by Saturday. The march is a part of a months-long wave of protests that saw thousands block roads and train stations across the country. On Tuesday, that is ahead of an upcoming Parliament vote on a key clause of the reform agenda. And for more on this, we are now being joined by our correspondent Jody Cohen, who is joining us live from Ra'anana. Hi Jody, what can you tell us about the latest on the protest from Wednesday night and continuing today, as well as to what is expected next in Parliament on the legislation?
Hi Raisha. So on Wednesday evening, protesters set up campsites around the country in strategic locations, including in the plaza behind me. They've packed up for the day. I've been told that they're going to work. They were protesting this morning and they're going to be back this evening. Rallies were also held outside the US consul and also in Washington and New York as President Herzog was addressing the US Congress. Also on Thursday, top business leaders are setting up protest tents in Jerusalem. Now we're talking about the owners of hotels, of banks, of retail chains and shopping malls. And the protesters, as you said, are continuing their march from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Now that's a 4-day journey on foot. They're setting up tents along the road as they go each evening. So again, we're seeing this theme over the weekends now of protest tents. Meanwhile, the Justice Committee has voted to send the reasonableness bill to the second reading in Parliament. Yair Lapid, who's the head of the opposition, he said he's having some interesting conversations with some members of the coalition to try and persuade them to vote against the bill. Benny Gantz, he's the chief rival to Prime Minister Netanyahu. He has offered to renew talks, and Prime Minister Netanyahu has reportedly rejected Gantz's terms for renewing the talks, but said he's welcome to talk at any time in the Prime Minister's office. Now, the House Committee has approved an extra day of voting in Parliament that's taking place on Sunday. And that's because the coalition wants to try and pass this bill before recess, which is the end of July. So voting is expected to continue next week.
Right, Judy. Now, apart from that, the protest this week coincided with Israel's President Herzog's visit to Washington, where he gave a historic address to a joint meeting of Congress. Can you tell us as to what he said specifically on the judicial reform, and how might this impact the debate going forward?
Right, so President Herzog's speech to Congress created a buzz in the hall, and there was cheering when he entered the room. And this was, as you said, a historic address. He's the second Israeli president to address Congress, the first being his father, President Chaim Herzog, 35 years ago. He received several standing ovations as he was talking, including when he talked about the importance of an independent judiciary. He talked about the heated debate that's going on in Israel regarding the balance of powers. He said his message to the American people and the world is that he has confidence in Israel's democracy. He said democracy is in Israel's DNA and that the country is working through the issues to reach a consensus, just like in the United States. Now, in an interview, President Biden advised Prime Minister Netanyahu when it comes to the judicial reform to take it slowly and to try and reach a consensus. Prime Minister Netanyahu, who is sensitive to US opinion, he suggested in his call with President Biden this week that he would seek broad public support over the summer.
Right, Judy, thanks so much for joining us on WION and sharing insights with us on this.
Thank you.